Committee on Public Works and Parks and Recreation, 19th session. We are here located in Kona, West Hawaii Civic Center. Today's date is April 15th. The current time is 10:35 a.m. Please turn cell phones, pagers, and other communication devices off or put them on silent. I'm going to call this meeting to order. We'll introduce the members of this committee. On my far right, I have Ms. Willie, Ms. Poindexter, Ms. Ford, Mr. Yoshimoto, Ms. Eoff. On my left, I have Mr. Ilagan, Mr. Kern. In Hilo, we have Mr. Onishi. If I think he's there. I can't see his face right now, but if he's there, he's there. If he's not, he will be.
I'm here.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Onishi. I'm the chair of this committee, Drew Kanua. We're going to take statements from the public on agenda items. We have 4 testifiers in Kona, but I want to check the other sites. Hilo, how many testifiers do you have?
Good morning, Chair. We have 6 in Hilo.
Thank you. Waimea, any testifiers?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. No, we have no testifiers. Thank you.
Thank you. Pahoa, any testifiers in Pahoa?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. We have 1 testifier here in Pahoa.
Thank you. North Kohala, any testifiers?
Good morning, Chair. We do not have testifiers for your committee this morning.
Thank you very much. And then I think we have Ka'u. Ka'u, do we have any testifiers?
Aloha, Chair Kanuha. We don't have any testifiers in Ka'u.
Thank you very much. We'll start with, I'll bring the first 2 testifiers up here in Kona, and then in Hilo, can you get your 2 testifiers ready as well?
Yes, Chair.
So we'll bring up David Carlson and Charles Flaherty.
Excuse me, what have you done with
So we'll start here in Kona. We have 3 minutes for testimony, and David, if you could press the button, please, and go right ahead.
Okay, I'm David Carlson, representing the American Legion Department of Hawaii and the American Legion Kona Post 20. And I'm also president of the Mayor's Advisory Council on Veterans Affairs. This law seriously affects our disabled veterans who are among the most vulnerable of all veterans we have. They have the highest rate of suicide, and most of them are affected by PTSD, and they become self-medicating with illegal drugs and alcohol. On Oahu, we have a program to help these people. It's run by the American Legion, financed by the Catholic Charities, and assisted by the City and Council of Honolulu. We have a problem here if we get after these with this law, which tends to look like the old House the Rummies from back in the 50s and 60s when I was a young man. We've got to be careful not to get too rough on these people because they just can't handle it. They need help, and we don't have the facilities here. I've tried to start it. I have a man on Oahu that could work it, but renting rooms and getting these people worked on very carefully and supervised very carefully, then we can get them to listen to veterans. They won't listen to medical people or others. They only listen to other veterans. We're able to get them then, after spending a week or so under careful supervision, off drugs and alcohol and into a rehab center. But this kind of thing of taking the vulnerable veterans and taking away their prized possession, as minimal as it is not helpful. I think that's enough. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Mr. Flaherty, please turn on your microphone and go right ahead.
Mahalo, Mr. Chair, and good morning, members of the committee. I'm Chuck Flaherty, and I'm testifying against Bill 193. I'm sure, and I want to know that several of you have been involved in the homeless issue. It's a very disturbing problem here in this nation, as we're spending hundreds of billions of dollars doing the nation building in Iraq and Afghanistan, yet here at home we have a severe and growing homeless problem, especially here in Hawaii with the cost of housing. I personally have been involved in this issue for a number of years and have been assisting with feeding and clothing with other groups and individuals. I talk with homeless people, including the mentally ill, and they know one another. They have a subculture. They have their own community. They know each other's names. They try to care for each other. Many families here in Hawaii, because of our lack of mental health services, they try to keep their loved ones at home, cannot, because they sometimes get to the point where they're actually threatening people's lives. So they can't allow them to be in the home. They try to get mental health services. They cannot. So the families basically know they're homeless, try to meet the other homeless people and work with the homeless community to help care for these people. This bill should be the last step in the process of helping the homeless, not the first. We should be putting them, many cities have found that it's easier to put homeless people in shelter, in homes, in apartments. It's cheaper to do that, regardless of the issues that they're facing, because you know where they live. And while there may be problems, they are supervised. And as Mr. Carlson was saying, you have support from the community to help out with this. It's very important to get these people off the street, just as for our own civil society. And so I hope that you will delay this bill until other steps are taken to address the homeless issue, because once that's addressed, then this bill really, the need for it hopefully will not exist any longer. Mahalo.
Thank you very much for your testimony. We'll go to Hilo. Can you take the first two testifiers, please?
Yes, Chair. Our first two testifiers, the first one will be Abraham Sadeh, and he will be commenting on Bill 193, to be followed by Jenny Chin.
Good morning. I sign my name as Abraham the Messiah Sadeh, or the Messiah Abraham. And the word Messiah there, as far as I'm concerned, applies to the entire humanity. There are 7,000 million and counting potential Messiahs. That's if you look at the glass half full. If you want to look at it as half empty, there's also that many potential Satans. And one of the Satans sleeps across on a bench on the right-hand side of the gated entry. His name is Mani Menachem, and he is a police informant who has been giving me hell and not even allow me to sleep at night by making all kind of noises. So yesterday, ladies and gentlemen, when you went home, you had a nice dinner, you spent your time with your family, you slept in comfortable beds, got up, had your breakfast, drove your car to sit and pass judgment on us. First of all, Congressman Kanuha, I appreciate your raising the smoking year, but this is property of homeless and nuisance, I think is a disgrace. If I were the mayor of this city, who has spent 150% of the total salary of the 4 years as a mayor to get elected, and makes $10,000 a month, which is equivalent to what I get as a Social Security in 1 year, I would donate 1 year of my salary if I were in his position. I will buy 60. That's the maximum number of people I've come with based on what is called under his wing, which is not really under the wing of God. Buy tents in this beautiful island, designate a place to set up these tents, have at least a bathroom so we will be more honored than an animal, which that's what a homeless is reduced to. But anyway, that's what your morning started. When I got back to here, to this bench on the left-hand side of the gated entry toward the thing, I had a note from this man who has been harassing me for a year. I am not even so much as a potential Messiah, and that suits me just fine. When you mention the word Christ, he is apparently Jewish. Not he is Jewish. He cringes. Your solipsistic, I have taught for 26 years, I have not run to this word before. Creed would be greatly improved by your owning up to your very own sadistic cruelty to defenseless little creatures. He's talking about one of these Coca-Cola, I call them, frogs, that one time I killed because they gave us away. He picked it up, carried it like he's, carrying it. And then he said, I don't mind killing roaches, but these you don't have to, you shouldn't. And then he says, one polygraph test speaks loudly and more eloquently than words of 1,000 words. And he's talking about my saying potential Messiah. But, and then you also, by the way, I have a briefcase full of letters I have written, and many of which I have emailed to all of you with no result whatsoever. The last one was 7 pages. Mani Menachem, the Hilo Police Department informant, I should have added where he has put these notes.
Can you please summarize, please?
Okay, first of all, I wanted to ask if it's possible I can speak for 3.5 years, that you could be kind enough and extend this entire day to me so I can finish what I need to say. Is that possible? Don't even skip lunch if it's necessary. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, he has put these notes almost every day. And he mentioned the word cocaine and so forth and so on.
Okay.
But anyway, excuse me. I'm sorry?
Thank you for your testimony.
Excuse me, I'm not finished yet. I just wanted to say something, if you don't mind. The 3 minutes is not in the rock. I have something to say. For example, just a brief autobiography of having graduated from San Antonio College in 1964, University of Tekla Bachelor in Science in 1967, taught for 3 different Peace Corps volunteers, joined Vista, and by the way, appoint an independent inquiry from people from the mainland to investigate a police department and a judicial system that is double standard. Now, is that it? Oh, I spoke more than I should.
Mr. Chair, our next speaker will be Jenny Chin, and she will be speaking on Bill 193, commenting.
I became a citizen 90 after 9/11 for the second time.
The meeting is recessed.
Just an announcement, we are in recess right now. Thank you. Again, announcing to all the sites, we are in recess. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, we can start now.
Okay. Okay, we'll give you a minute. We'll give one more minute over here, okay? Okay, we are now out of recess. Apologize for that. Hilo, can you take your next testifier, please?
Okay, our next testifier is Jenny Chin, and she will be commenting on Bill 193.
Thank you very much. Go right ahead.
My name is Jenny Chin, and I am a business person.
I would have said 4 years ago that I do not have the compassion for people who are on the sidewalk. But 4 years ago, I learned what that word compassion means. I do understand that homelessness is not people who choose that way of life. I did not have that kind of compassion until I briefly felt it myself. I had enough funds and finances, and I have a successful business. But until we have compassion for those who are homeless, taking away their material goods or their few possessions that they have would be considered cruel and inhumane in my eyes. I have more compassion for the homeless today, because they carry their worldly goods on their shoulder or in a pack, does not make them any less of a human being. Because we have homes, or we have vehicles, we have even people living in vehicles over here on the east side of the island where I reside, and we do nothing about it. Until we deal with homeless people in a humane and kind way, such as perhaps putting lockers on county property so that they can store their possessions. That's all they have is their clothes on their back and what they carry around. I do not think that they mean to be a menace to society, but it's what few things that they have. As an example, yesterday I was sitting in Starbucks, and a person who carried all his worldly possessions pulled out his drawing pad and his pencils, and that's what he had. And he had a glass of water. And who am I to judge? Who am I to say, you cannot do that? You cannot sit among other people who may have the money to buy a cup of coffee and who questions our values, actually. I know people now who are homeless. I do not judge them as good people or as bad people. I judge them as a people of circumstances. I know people who have moved to Hawaii, who have retired here, and suddenly found that they did not have enough money to pay rent, to eat, and to just sit in McDonald's or whatever. It is those people that represent maybe only 25%, but the homeless people represent all different kinds. Can you imagine a person who I met in McDonald's, who had been working her whole life, moves to McDonald's on her Social Security, and ends up living out of her
Excuse me,
van?
you need to summarize your time as if we.
Thank you. It's just inhumane, and I believe that we should just give them lockers on on county property so that they can store their possessions, and there's lesser complaints possibly from the general public and from business people. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony. We'll take Pahoa. I think you have one testifier, or maybe several more, but please go ahead with your first testifier.
Yeah, we have just one, and his name is Paul Norman. He'll be testifying in opposition of Bill 193.
Good morning, council members. My name is Paul Norman. I'm the executive director of Neighborhood Place of Puna. I'm also a member of the CAP as well as a participant in the Mayor's East Hawaii Homelessness Initiative. So I'm here today because I strongly oppose Bill 193. As y'all are all very aware, there are a lot of issues facing our homeless community. Just to start off with, there is not nearly enough housing for our homeless individuals and homeless families. There's not enough low-income housing for our families at risk for homelessness. If we are serious, if the council is serious, and I know y'all are serious about addressing the issues of homelessness and poverty here on the Big Island, that we really need to look to make sure that we focus on what's important. And the important thing is making sure that we have enough services, that we have enough housing for everybody to live in shelter. We do not have that right now. You're also aware that a lot of the issues with chronic homelessness are mental health issues and substance abuse issues. We currently do not have enough services to help our homeless individuals, our chronic homeless individuals, deal with substance abuse or access mental health services. I mean, it's really abysmal, the lack of mental health services. And I agree with several of other testifiers that we really need to look at this from a place of compassion. Homelessness is not a crime. These are individuals. They need our help. We need to figure out a way to make it easier for them to have a place that they can call their home. I mean, as it is, good people who are working are having to live in the parks. And just that is a hardship. I mean, if you have a family and you live in a park, that's hard to do. If you're trying to have a job and you're living with your family in the park, that's hard to do. And then, and totally understandable, you're not supposed to be in the parks, you get run off. We need places for our homeless individuals and our low-income families to live. So please do not pass this bill. Let's refocus on what's important, which is getting housing and services for our homeless and low-income families and individuals. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. We'll come back to Kona, and we have Justin Butler and David Schlesinger. Please come forward. And then when you hear the ding of the bell, it means you have 30 seconds left. 30 seconds left. So, Justin, turn on the microphone with the green button, and go right ahead.
All right, thanks for hearing me. My name is Justin Butler. I'm here on behalf of Family Support Hawaii. I was a homeless youth outreach worker for the better part of my time spent there. And I want to support, again, what everyone else has said here today, is that, this bill does stand for something that's, I see the intentions are good, but we have to have other options. And what we're saying basically is that, if someone has a makeshift home set up on a public property or public beach, they can't do that. But without another option for them, the law is basically saying that they just can't exist as a homeless person. So it's really important, like what everyone said, we have to have, mental health services available for these people, substance abuse, and shelter options that don't discriminate against substance abuse. Shelter options that don't discriminate against the fact that you haven't applied for a job in the past 3 days or 4 days. So again, with what they said was we got to address the real issue, and that's getting these people the help that they need. And once we give them the option, yes, then that's perfectly fine. I absolutely agree with the encroachment on public space being a crime when the time's right, though. But time's not right because we don't have any places to send these people. So. Again, when I understand when people come out to a public beach, it's really hard to, have a good day and do your thing when someone's basically set up a camp there and they're living. That's very uncomfortable for people, and I definitely understand that. So, again, I just want to address the fact that we really, really, really need shelters here. We need shelter first. And I do also want to support the tenant option, too, what that gentleman said. I think that's a very good idea to have a public space set up to where people can set up tents, can set up some kind of makeshift shelter for the time being until they can get into a more, secure shelter option. Thank you.
Thank you, Justin. David, please go ahead.
Okay, hello, you guys. I got two things. Sorry. Okay, hello, you guys. I got two things I'd like to cover. First, I oppose the bill for both reasons. But number one, I think you got to give them a soft place to land before you cut their legs out from underneath them, like everybody else says. Or you're going to make more problems. You're going to make angry people that have nothing to lose. You got to come up with a solution, not just knock the weak people down. The second thing is we have a saying here in Big Island, you know, you're not homeless, you're houseless. I lived on the beaches for a year, and I've been there. It's great. Honestly, I can't do it with a family, but I used to be able to survive, and now you're persecuted for just existing. And as part of the bill, you don't address the issue of the Hawaiian nationals that are living in public property that isn't really public property. It's the Hawaiian Kingdom land. You guys have a responsibility to address that too, because there's war crimes being committed here. You start taking everybody's stuff in the wrong place. It's not you guys it's on you guys. Constructive notices been given to the mayor before about criminal operations being conducted by the County of Hawaii against Hawaiian nationals and those exercising native tenant rights. I've seen people handicapped people have to go to jail for exercising their native tenant rights on their great-grandpa's land. Where their great-grandpas are buried. That's, what the guy said about Satan and Messiahs, you guys have a lot of responsibility here, and your choices are up to you. So you guys got to choose. The title is undisputable, though, like in the Hamakua Sugarlands. I know Ms. Ford was on the council at that time, and you guys were looking into the title. I don't think that ever happened. A real title search. Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate your testimony. Hilo, take the next two testifiers, please.
Our two new testifiers is David Mullis, and he will speak on Bill 193 in an opposition, to be followed by Jeff Shaw.
Thank you. Go right ahead.
Hello, Council. Thank you for assigning this time to discuss this very important matter. I'm opposed to this bill on a number of individual accounts. I will give a preface of myself. I am a veteran. I have not yet on this island been homeless, thank God, though I have been pressed against the wall within days of homelessness. One of the things, since we are discussing this and nobody has used the word big business yet, I will. Business doesn't want to see homeless people. It's just a pragmatic matter for them, but it's a personal matter for the homeless. They don't want to see me either, because occasionally I will reach into the top of a garbage can and take out a recyclable aluminum can. I'm not rich. I'm what you would call existing poor. But that is a means by which I subsidize very smallly my otherwise small income. As I'm looking at this bill and ordinance, I, for one thing, can say, based upon the fact that I travel on the buses, and the bus service on this island does not necessarily get you there and back, especially between Kona and Hilo, within 24 hours. It's not an easy thing to do. Sometimes you can miss a single bus and you'll be away more. So 24 hours seems a bit, it seems extremely arbitrary and frankly just dishearteningly unpleasant and unfair. As to the issues of the property, I asked someone how this would be paid for with the items that would be sold of the homeless, and I heard that the county would be eating a lot of this, and I'm thinking also the county would be at least paying some auctioneer who's going to auction off this stuff a significant amount of money, more than just the homeless, just the storage costs. So you may be creating another job for someone who's auctioning, but you're creating a lot of monetary loss for the county at the time. Not to mention that these things are very personal to the people who own them.
Please summarize.
I will. And it's not just costly, it's emotionally disturbing and distracting to these people who are having their personal items intruded upon and taken. And there's just no real reason besides that if you want to deal with the homeless stuff, the next thing you're going to need to deal with is the homeless and how far are you going to push them, how far are you going to move them, because it's not just the stuff. The people aren't as upset about the stuff as they are about homeless people.
Your
But you
time is
can't,
up.
unless you can provide housing and adequate provision for them, you can't just move them along forcibly from public property. It's insensitive, it's disrespectful, it's disingenuous, and it's, except for this rule, bordering on the criminal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your next testifier, please.
Our next testifier is Jeff Shaw, and he will be speaking in opposition to Bill 193.
Hello, my name is Jeff Shaw. I will encourage all of you to look into your hearts and feel some actual compassion for those who are less fortunate, which means that you will decide that stealing from the poor is not a good idea. I suggest that before we consider stealing the belongings of the poor, that we minimally give those less fortunate a secure and convenient place for them to store their belongings. The legislation is nothing more than a form of harassment dealing with a symptom, not a problem. As the citizens who are elected by us, you should be concentrating on finding solutions for the problems, not covering up the symptoms. Anyone who thinks that making the people who are destitute feel even worse about their circumstances will encourage them to find, and thinking that that will encourage them to find the will to lift themselves out of poverty is delusional. Please don't put any more time and energy into this bad idea, and instead look for real solutions.
Thank you very much for your testimony. I think there's two more testifiers in Hilo.
Mr. Chair, our testifiers has increased to a total of 10. So we have 5 more.
Okay, just keep them coming.
Thank you. Our next testifier is Brandy Menino, and she's representing Hope Services Hawaii Inc., commenting on Bill 193.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. While I feel that this bill is a valiant effort, there are some concerns with the language in the bill. We are a participant in the Chronic Homeless Task Force. We also provide outreach and shelter and affordable housing options. The concerns that we have, which relates to our multidisciplinary team initiative as well, is the repossession and the impounding of personal property. As you're aware, when you're working with those who are homeless, they're not able to prove that those items, so personal items, are theirs. There's language in there that will charge them fees, or submitting satisfactory proof of ownership is not clear what is satisfactory to the director. And when you're requesting the safekeeping and the cost of holding and moving and related fees and costs, my concern would be that we would be passing on these costs to persons who are homeless, who do not have the funds to get back their personal property. So those are some concerns that we have. Again, while this is an initiative of our Chronic Homeless Task Force and a valiant effort in trying to address it, I believe that it is too early to implement a bill such as this at this time, while we're still working on creating opportunities to address the homelessness. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Jeremy McComber, and he's representing Hope Services, commenting on Bill 193.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Good morning, council members. So I would also concur with what Ms. Menino said, in that while I think the spirit of trying to address some of the issues with homelessness is definitely present, I think that the approach needs to be more person-focused. And I think coming from the perspective of someone who is already probably experiencing some sort of disability, and that then being compounded by further trauma by having their personal belongings confiscated, and like Ms. Menino mentioned, unable to provide documentation to prove identity in order to reclaim those documents. So perhaps focusing on solutions that are more person and housing oriented and addressing the resources needed to implement those types of solutions. And coincidentally, some of those potential solutions were actually filtered out through the recent Big Island Strategic Planning meeting on homelessness. So we hope to have the opportunity to work with you and others who are interested in providing viable solutions to helping to get people off the street. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeremy. Hilo, your next two testifiers, please.
Our two next testifiers will be Michael Hollinger, and he's speaking on Bill 193 in opposition, to be followed by E.K. Payne.
Aloha Council, thank you again. My name is Mike Hollinger and I oppose Bill 193. Alright, so there's many problems with this bill. Besides, of course, this is another war on the homeless effort. First off, we don't have any county bathrooms that are public. We need to get that, but of course you guys shy away from those type of issues because, oh, that's going to attract the blight of homelessness. Come on, get real. We need to be taking care of our people. We need to be putting facilities in to help mitigate problems like this for not only the homeless, but our people that actually live here for ourselves. I really don't like this whole discrimination against homeless also. You know, it's people become homeless for a variety of reasons, and we should be helping them and not, putting another foot, stabbing them inside the side or making it more difficult for them. And this also even kind of makes me wonder, does the law of splinter paddle have any type of effect here at all or anything like that? And just say quandary of myself. But, I think any of you guys that even ponder possibly passing this bill, I think you guys should be ashamed. Shame, 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 no, 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 I don't like. Thank you.
Thank you. Your next testifier, please.
Hello, Council. My name is E.K. Payne. First of all, I want to reiterate what Michael said. What about the law of the splinter paddle? And where is it that in Hawaii we take the word of corporation over people, where we decide that it is right to make people feel even less than they already do by being homeless or houselessness? When I lived on Oahu, I worked for IHS, which is the Institute for Human Services. I was the housing coordinator trying to find homes for homeless people. And the one thing that homeless people really look at when they're dealing with people just in everyday life is how other people see them, and how that people don't see them as being of worth, and by taking their possessions and trying to make them pay for them, it's just deplorable. Has anybody thought about that we also have a lot of eco-tourists that like to leave their backpacks everywhere? We have kids that leave their backpacks for different varies of reasons. We have tourists that try to go to the airport and then decide that they're going to leave their bags and come back for them and then don't. Has anybody thought about this? Or has anybody thought about the really, really detrimental health effects that we can be putting onto our county workers by having them deal with other people's property that they have no right in dealing with in the first place, along with having to auction them, hold them, and carry them? Are you people, are you guys daft? Have you lost your mind? This is really, really deplorable. You should be ashamed to even be on this island. It is just amazing that you guys are in office.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Next testifier, please.
Our final two testifiers will be, the first one will be Donald Whistles, speaking in opposition to Bill 193, and to be followed by Carrie Marks.
Hello. There's something wrong with kicking someone when they're down. There's something wrong with taking money from someone who has none. The homeless and the powerless are easy targets. Besides being poor, they are often mentally or physically incapacitated. They are easy targets because they don't vote, and business people do. Tax dollars and voting public want this. It is an easy fix that fixes nothing. To get votes and to get dollars to get reelected. If you really want to do something, get them help. If you really want to help, then don't take their stuff and then charge them for something with something they don't have. It is basically legalized stealing. If you really want to do something, fight for a society that makes homelessness a thing of the past, not throw them in, take their stuff away.
Thank you.
Aloha. There I am. Aloha Council. Good morning. My name is Carrie Marks, and I am testifying in strong opposition to this Bill 193, which I believe by my count 15 people have testified against this bill. 0 people have testified for this bill. I also speak for the thousands of homeless people that cannot be here to speak for themselves. This odyssey started, about 10 months ago, when Mr. Kanuha put up a resolution to make the mayor do something about the homeless people because the businesses on Ali'i Drive were complaining. I chastised him, as did pretty much all the other testifiers, for being heartless and having no compassion for the most vulnerable people on our island. He promised to take this back and take it under advisement and come up with something good. If this is what you have come up with, stealing Tulsi Gabbard's Oahu City Council Bill 53, I urge you to go back to the drawing board and try again. This is not an original idea. This has been done. On Oahu, they go around and they tag people's stuff, and then 24 hours later they come back and pick it up. It has cost the city of Honolulu hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to enforce this. So it's pretty pricey. It would be way cheaper to buy housing and put people in it than to support this bill. Services are lacking here. We just heard this morning that there are 8,500 people on the wait list for Section 8 county housing. Is that what I heard? Because the other day I thought it was 6,000. Either way, that's a lot. I also worked with homeless outreach. That was my first job here on the island. And we did a lot. We did everything we could to get people into permanent housing. And I can't tell you how frustrating and disheartening it is to work with somebody for months or years to get them through drug rehab and mental health services and to put medical stuff in place, and then finally their name comes up on the Section 8 voucher list, and we spend 6 months searching for nothing. There is no place for these people to rent. The really sad ones were the large families. I actually had a family of 9, they had 9 children. They were a family of 11 who could have paid, I think it was about $4,000 a month for a Section 8 rental, and they could not find anything on this whole island.
Please summarize.
Please summarize. Okay, this is unreasonable search and seizure. Restore the fourth. Call the ACLU. Kill this bill. Do not amend it. Don't fix it. Don't talk about it very long. I want to hear somebody make a motion to kill this bill immediately. This is bad. Lockers? Where? Not going to happen. The law of the splintered panel. Kanawai Mamalahoe says that you are allowed to lay by the roadside in safety. I will summarize. I'm pretty sure you were allowed to lay there with your broken paddle. Thank you. Paddle, thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Is there any other testifiers in any other site? Have we missed anybody? Hearing or seeing none, anybody in this wishing to testify? Hearing or seeing none? Mr. Clerk, we'll go into items on the agenda, starting with Resolution 356-14.
Resolution 356-14 accepts the dedication of drainage lot 38 being tax map P 2-5-065.